Alex's heart stopped as he stared at his phone screen, the sent message glowing back at him like a death sentence. "My boss is so hot," it read, followed by a string of emojis that now seemed mortifyingly juvenile. But the recipient wasn't his best friend Mike, it was Emily Thompson, his actual boss, the woman who'd been haunting his thoughts for months. The office Christmas party was in full swing around him, laughter and clinking glasses fading into a distant hum as panic clawed at his chest. What would she say? Would she fire him on the spot? Or worse, laugh it off and shatter his fragile hope? His daughter Lily's face flashed in his mind. She needed him, needed this job. As Emily's phone buzzed in her purse across the room, Alex held his breath, the world teetering on the edge of disaster. But to understand how Alex got here, we have to go back to the beginning, 6 months earlier, when life was already a relentless storm for the 35-year-old single dad. Alex Harper had always been the reliable type, the guy who showed up early, stayed late, and never complained. But after his wife Sarah passed away from cancer 2 years ago, reliability became his lifeline. Lily, their energetic 7-year-old, was his entire world now. Mornings were a blur of packing lunches, braiding hair, he'd gotten pretty good at it after countless YouTube tutorials, and dropping her off at school before racing to his job at Thompson marketing firm. The firm was a mid-sized agency in downtown Seattle, specializing in digital campaigns for eco-friendly brands. Alex was a senior copywriter, crafting slogans that sold solar panels and recycled fashion, but lately, his creativity felt as drained as his bank account after daycare bills. Emily Thompson had taken over as CEO just a year ago, inheriting the company from her father. At 32, she was a force. Sharp, ambitious, with a smile that could close deals and eyes that seemed to see right through corporate facades. Her dark hair was always pulled into a professional bun, but Alex had caught glimpses of it loose during late-night strategy sessions, cascading like a waterfall. She was divorced herself, no kids, but she ran the firm with a mix of steel and empathy that made her employees loyal. Alex admired her from afar, respecting how she balanced cutthroat business decisions with genuine care, like when she approved flexible hours for parents. But admiration had slowly morphed into something more, especially after that team-building retreat where they'd shared a late-night bonfire chat about loss and moving forward. "Life doesn't give us do-overs," she'd said, her voice soft under the stars, "but it does give us second chances if we're brave enough to take them." Alex shook off the memory as he sat at his desk that fateful Monday morning, nursing a lukewarm coffee. Lily had woken up with a fever the night before, and he'd barely slept, soothing her with stories of princesses who conquered dragons. Now, facing a deadline for a major client's ad campaign, his mind wandered to Emily's presentation from last week. She'd worn that red blazer that accentuated her confidence, and damn if it hadn't distracted him. "Get a grip, man," he muttered to himself, pulling out his phone to text Mike, his college buddy who'd stuck by him through Sarah's illness. Mike was the one person Alex could vent to without judgment, the guy who'd shown up with pizza and bad jokes during the darkest days. Fingers flying over the keys, Alex typed, "Dude, my boss is so hot. Like, how am I supposed to focus when she's striding around in those heels? Send help before I do something stupid." He hit send without a second glance, then dove back into his work. It wasn't until 5 minutes later, when his phone buzzed with a reply, that the horror set in. The notification read, "Emily Thompson, interesting confession, Alex. We should talk." His stomach dropped like a stone in the ocean. How? He'd selected the wrong contact, Emily's number, saved for work emergencies, right above Mike's in his recents. The office suddenly felt too small, the hum of keyboards too loud. He glanced toward her glass-walled office, where she was on a call, her expression unreadable. Would she march out and demand his resignation? Or ignore it, leaving him in agonizing limbo? As the minutes ticked by, Alex's mind raced, the first real cliffhanger of his unraveling life hanging in the air. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he debated his options. Delete the message? Too late, it was delivered and read. Apologize profusely? That might make it worse. He imagined Lily's innocent questions if he lost his job. Daddy, why can't we go to the park anymore? The thought twisted like a knife. Sarah's death had taught him resilience, but this was humiliation on a whole new level. He buried himself in emails, pretending nothing happened, but every ping from his phone made him jump. Lunchtime came and went, no confrontation. By afternoon, he was a wreck, second-guessing every glance from colleagues. Had she told HR? Was this the end of his career? That evening, after picking up Lily from after-school care, Alex tried to act normal. They made spaghetti together, her giggles filling the small apartment as sauce splattered everywhere. Daddy, you're funny when you're messy, she said, hugging his leg. But inside, Alex was crumbling. He tucked her in with her favorite stuffed bear, reading The Velveteen Rabbit, until her eyes fluttered shut. Alone in the living room, he poured a glass of whiskey and stared at his phone. No further messages from Emily. Maybe she'd brush it off as a joke. Or maybe tomorrow would bring the axe. The next day dawned gray and rainy, mirroring Alex's mood. He arrived at the office early, hoping to bury himself in work before anyone else showed up. But Emily was already there, her office light on. As he passed by, she called out, "Alex, can you come in for a minute?" His heart pounded like a drum in a rock concert. This was it, the moment of truth. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him with a soft click that sounded like a jail cell locking. Emily looked up from her desk, her expression calm but curious. "About that text?" She began, and Alex braced for impact, the tension building to an unbearable peak. Would she laugh? Yell? Fire him? The air thickened with unspoken words, leaving everything hanging in the balance. Alex swallowed hard, his mouth dry as sandpaper. "Emily, I'm so sorry. It was meant for a friend. I wasn't thinking, and I respect you so much as a boss. Please, don't let this affect my job. I need it for my daughter." The words tumbled out in a rush, his vulnerability laid bare. Emily leaned back in her chair, studying him with those piercing green eyes. A small smile tugged at her lips, not mocking, but genuine. "Alex, relax. I'm not firing you. In fact, I'm flattered. But we do need to talk about boundaries, and maybe more." Her words hung there, cryptic and charged. More? What did that mean? As the conversation unfolded, Emily revealed her own struggles. Her divorce had been messy, leaving her guarded and focused solely on work. "I noticed you at the retreat," she admitted softly. "You're kind, dedicated. And yes, attractive. But I'm your boss, that complicates things." Alex's mind reeled. This wasn't the disaster he'd feared, it was something unexpected, a spark in the darkness. They agreed to keep it professional for now, but the seed was planted. Over the next weeks, their interactions shifted subtly, longer meetings, shared coffees, conversations that veered from campaigns to personal dreams. But challenges loomed. Alex's guilt over Sarah lingered like a shadow. Was he betraying her memory by feeling this way? Lily sensed his distraction, asking one night, "Daddy, are you sad again?" He hugged her tight, promising he was okay, but inside, doubts festered. At work, rumors started swirling after a colleague overheard a casual chat. "Is something going on with you and the boss?" Mike teased over beers, but Alex brushed it off, fearing office politics could derail everything. Then came the big pitch for a new client, a sustainable energy company worth millions. Alex and Emily worked late nights, their chemistry electric. One evening, as rain pelted the windows, they shared a pizza in her office. "Tell me about Sarah," Emily said gently. Alex opened up, tears welling as he recounted the hospital vigils, the final goodbyes. Emily shared her own pain, her ex's betrayal, the loneliness of leadership. In that moment, barriers crumbled. They leaned in, lips meeting in a tentative kiss that felt like coming home. But as passion ignited, Emily pulled back. "We can't. Not like this. What if it ruins everything?" Her eyes searched his, filled with fear and longing. The kiss hung unresolved, a second cliffhanger that left Alex aching as he drove home through the storm. The following days were torture. Emily avoided one-on-one meetings, citing busyness, while Alex threw himself into the pitch prep. Lily's school play approached, and he practiced lines with her, her excitement a balm for his turmoil. "You're the best king ever, Daddy," she beamed, and he vowed not to let his personal chaos spill over. But the tension built. During the client presentation, Emily shone, her poise unbreakable, but Alex fumbled a slide, his mind elsewhere. The client hesitated, requesting revisions. Back at the office, Emily confronted him in the break room. "Alex, what's going on? That kiss, it can't happen again. We're professionals." Her voice cracked, betraying her conflict. Alex's heart shattered. "Is that what you really want?" he asked, stepping closer. The air crackled, their breaths mingling, the moment poised on a knife's edge. Before she could answer, her phone rang, the client, approving the campaign with glowing feedback. Relief washed over them, but the personal rift remained. That weekend, Alex took Lily to the park, watching her swing higher and higher. "Sometimes, sweetie, life swings us around, but we have to hold on," he told her, echoing Sarah's words from years ago. Inspired, he texted Emily, not a confession, but an invitation, "Join us for ice cream?" No pressure, just friends. To his surprise, she accepted. What followed was a slow, beautiful unfolding. Emily met Lily, who instantly adored her, chattering about unicorns and drawing pictures for Daddy's friend. Dates turned from awkward to effortless, walks along the Puget Sound, movie nights with popcorn fights. Challenges persisted, office gossip peaked, forcing them to disclose their relationship to HR, navigating policies with care. Alex faced his grief head-on, visiting Sarah's grave to whisper, "I think you'd like her. She's strong, like you." Emily confronted her fears of vulnerability, learning to let someone in without losing control. Months later, at the office Christmas party, the same one where it all began, Alex pulled Emily aside. "That text was the best mistake of my life," he said, dropping to one knee with a ring. "Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down her face as she nodded, the room erupting in cheers. Lily, now 8, beamed as flower girl in their vision of the future. Through it all, Alex learned that accidents can lead to miracles, that vulnerability isn't weakness but the path to true connection. Life's mishaps, like a missent text, remind us to embrace the unexpected, to find love in the ruins of loss. It's a message for anyone who stumbled. Second chances aren't given, they're seized with courage and an open heart. If this story touched you, hit that like button and subscribe for more heartwarming tales that remind us of life's beautiful twists. Thanks for watching.